It's a top 5 battle inside the Carrier Dome as number 3 Syracuse welcomes number 4 Stony Brook to the Salt City for a Sunday afternoon showdown. And welcome on into the broadcast booth, everyone, alongside Samantha Croston. I'm Johnny Gadamowicz. And Samantha, these two teams come into today with a little bit of a different story. Syracuse already 2 wins under its belt. For Stony Brook, it's their season opener.
And it's the 3rd year in a row that Coach Spallina and the Seawolves are traveling up to the Dome, but he says, hey, bring on the tough competition early. I want to know everything I can about my team as early as possible.
Well, Coach Joey Spallina says he likes to play villain, and if he wants to do that today, he's going to need to make sure his players know where number 18, Megan Tyrell, is all day long.
Only 2 games, 11 goals, 3 assists. This is somebody who is an absolute powerhouse, and you can see in these clips, she can shoot from anywhere on the field. She can also assist from anywhere on the field, and she has a great lacrosse IQ. So this is somebody who is a triple threat. And newsflash, she's not the only one. They have a lot of offensive weapons all across this team.
Well, Tyrell certainly was the focal point of the Syracuse attack last week, and you see the numbers there in what's been just an illustrious career for her so far. Samantha, you look at the Stony Brook side of things, and this is a team that is a little bit younger, a little bit more unproven, but they can get it done on offense and defense.
And you look offensively first at Ellie Macera. She's one of their new it girls. She's versatile, she can dodge from different places, and Coach Spallina says she can play anywhere on the 8. So this is going to be interesting to see who matches up against her defensively. Then you look at Claire Levy, and flat out, Coach Spallina says this is a top 5 defender in the entire country.
Well, Stony Brook graduated Allie Kennedy last year, and they think Ellie Macera as a sophomore is someone that can definitely step into those shoes and is capable of picking up the load offensively. From a Syracuse side of things, it's a first-year head coach and Kayla Trainer, one of the best to ever put on a Syracuse jersey, but now leading the charge from the sideline and is off to a pretty good start with that 2-0 record. Charlie Campbell gets the start in net for Stony Brook. It was a little bit of a goalie competition for the Seawolves throughout the preseason, but it's the Virginia transfer wearing number 57 on the far right side, and then the far left side, Delaney Schweitzer. She's gotten both starts for the Qs so far. Coach Trainer calling her number yet again. And we're just about ready to go here on a busy day inside the Dome. The men's team with a loss to Maryland earlier today. The women's team in a top 5 battle, trying to get out to a 3-0 start. It'll be Mashesky and Verhulst at the opening draw control circle on that Block S logo. Just awaiting the signal now, and we're underway. Quick whistle off of the first draw control of the game awards Stony Brook possession. So the Seawolves will control and set up in their offensive zone.
And I have to tell you, draw controls throughout the entire course of this game are going to be so important. You know, on the Syracuse side that you have Caitlin Mashesky, 17 draw controls in just 2 games. That's going to be difficult for Stony Brook to overcome today.
Well, she's been the draw control specialist for Syracuse for quite some time now. Can't win the opening one, though, as Stony Brook sets up in their offensive zone, working it around. Zapolsky, the Albany transfer, controlling for SBU. Syracuse sporting that zone defense, as they so often do, Sam. It's a tough unit to crack.
It's tough. You need to be tactful to do it. But guess what? They must have been watching some film because they're getting it done already.
Right on cue. First possession for the Seawolves and goal number 1 as they hop out to a quick 1-0 lead.
This is a Stony Brook team. Yes, they are young, but they work together. They feed off of each other's energy, and they are selfless. You are going to see a lot of assisted goals today.
And who else but Ellie Macera? We mentioned her off the top. The sophomore to Waraton watch list midi, and she gets her 2022 campaign started on the right foot. Not even 60 seconds gone by, and already Coach Spallina and Stony Brook punch first.
And you mentioned it, Ellie Macera is young, but this is someone who is coming off of a summer with Team USA in the World Lacrosse Super Sixes.
Youngest player ever to get the invite to practice with Team USA after her freshman campaign last year. Stony Brook wins another draw control, but coughing it right up is Sierra Cockrell. Takes a little bit of an elbow and will reset for the Cuse.
And you can already feel the energy in here on both sidelines. This is the kind of game that I had marked down on my calendar from the beginning of the year. It's always a good matchup between these two teams.
Well, they played last year right here inside the Dome, and Syracuse had its way with Stony Brook, a 16-6 win. The year before that, though, back in 2020, that wasn't the case. The Seawolves actually knocked them off, pulled off the upset in what was a thriller. Syracuse trying to counter. Pass on the inside to no avail, and a turnover for the Orange. Couple of players hacking away at it. Megan Tyrell in on it for Syracuse, and she will keep.
And you can tell Stony Brook is going to come in here with some extra energy today. We asked Coach, how did you feel about that last matchup against Syracuse? He said, they put us in our place. I haven't been embarrassed like that in a long time. Used all 3 timeouts in the first half. Says he's never done that before.
Sam Swart playing it off for Cockrell. Orange with some solid ball movement, but a nice save made by Campbell. Charlie Campbell denies Syracuse its first chance to strike even.
Maybe one of the players I am the most excited to watch today. This is a transfer from Virginia, Long Island native. And by the way, last time she was in the Dome, 18 saves, a career high. Charlie Campbell owns the Dome.
She's had success here before. I have to wonder if that factored in to the decision for her to get the start today in game number 1 in a Seawolves jersey.
We talk a lot about goalies mentally, how they struggle, how they overcome those struggles. Charlie Campbell is the kind of player I don't think those mental barriers get in her way, to be quite frankly, at all.
Sierra Cockrell in transition for the Cuse. This is Emma Tyrell. Couldn't corral the pass. Meg Carney wanted a whistle going against Stony Brook, and it looks like she will get one. Just about 4 minutes gone by here.
Already you're starting to see that physical play from both teams, which is a good thing, but it's a matter of also keeping your composure today, finding that balance between aggressiveness and composure.
Well, Syracuse flexed its muscles last time out against Binghamton, a 23-goal output, but they're still searching for their first one here today against the number 4 team in the country. This time it's Carney playing it back up top. Emily Harris-Chuck tried to create the separation, and that's going to draw a yellow card against the Seawolves.
And here we see the first yellow card of the game. A little bit too much pressure there, and to the neck no less. And this is what I'm talking about today. Again, it's a matter of being able to pressure out, but also staying calm, or else it will result in those yellow cards.
Harris-Chuck buries it off the free position. The Stony Brook mistake, and Syracuse wastes no time to cash in.
And no one worse to be on that line than Emily Harris-Chuck. She is a villain from the 8-meter, and you can tell Charlie Campbell upset with that one. Bounced right off her leg. Not a whole lot you can do about that.
Sam, if you're Charlie Campbell, what's going through your head there? You're sitting and watching Emily Harris-Chuck 8 meters away, who is just lethal from that spot. Is there anything you can do at that point?
Hey, we talk about this a lot because I have gone up against Emily Harris-Chuck from the 8. I was not successful. She is a weapon. First goal of the day, but plenty more coming. And you can see the power behind that shot, the fact that it did hit off Campbell's leg, and it still found its way into the back of the net.
Harris-Chuck, of course, coming off of that torn ACL that she suffered last year, decides to come back for one more with the extra COVID year of eligibility. And hey, when you're coming off a year which you missed the whole season due to injury, Samantha, and you're still preseason to Waratah watch list, that just speaks volumes.
Shows a lot about the kind of player she is, a lot about the kind of person she is.
Harris-Chuck with 3 goals on the year so far. Maybe some expected to be more up toward Megan Tyrell's 11, but either way, she'll take it. Just happy to be back on the field. As Stony Brook has it on the far left side now.
And I think with Emily Harris-Chuck, still just giving her a couple of games, get her feet underneath her, I think you'll start seeing those higher numbers for her.
Sabella's shot sailed wide. Stony Brook closest to it, so they'll retain and look to reset. This is Reyna Sabella, the grad student midi who had to play some defense last year out of necessity.
And I can tell you, Reyna Sabella, from personal experience, I played with her in high school. This is someone who could be put into any role at any time and adjust. Very few players like that in any sport.
Seawolves trying to crack through this SU defense. Schweitzer there to meet her. Loose ball, though, collected by Stony Brook.
A nice, crisp, and explosive save.
Coach Spallina looking onward. Season debut for his team. He said maybe give Syracuse a slight advantage in that regard. Look, they've already played 2 games. We're just getting our feet wet. But so far, the Seawolves through just over minutes of play. Inside pass, Schweitzer meets her yet again. Oh, the poise from and USC transfer trots it herself up the field.
And already so far this season, we've seen Delaney Schweitzer play a little bit like Asa Goldstock. She's aggressive, she talks a lot, she comes out of the cage a lot, fearless.
Well, Schweitzer and Goldstock never spent time on the Syracuse roster together as Schweitzer was a transfer. But you're right, Samantha, plenty of Asa Goldstock. They must have chatted at some point about that because both of those goalies not afraid to bring it well out of their crease and try to get the transition attack started.
And I think one place where that comes from, Schweitzer, she played on her local youth boys team. This is somebody who was playing on a boys squad from 3rd through 8th grade.
Siobhan Rafferty trying to locate a teammate down low, wasn't there. Syracuse trying to collect the loose ball. Whistle comes in favor of the Orange. Emma Tyrell wanted a quick reset and will play it back instead.
And Lacrosse is a pretty fast-paced game, but already less than 8 minutes left in this first quarter. Only 1 goal for each of these teams. Shows you how hard each of these teams are going to have to work to get on the board today.
The Orange working to Meg Carney. Carney coming off that ACL injury as well from last year. 2 big pieces for the Cuse that they lost last year and really took a shot to their national title hopes. Harris-Chuck shot, deflected, ball is loose, and Syracuse retains with Carney. Yeah, Carney and Harris-Chuck both go down with the same injury. And Samantha, you have to think for a Syracuse team that made it all the way to the national championship game last year against Boston College, had they had those 2 weapons to couple with the Tyrell sisters, easily could have been a different result for then head coach Gary Gate.
And it's so easy to wonder what could have been, but at the same time, I almost, everything happens for a reason. And there were certain people, for example, Emma Tyrell, who was able to step up in the absence of some of these other players, and we saw how explosive she was. Now she's a great competitor.
Carney down on the doorstep. Nice save made by Campbell. The second time today, the Virginia transfer has been able to parry out really a point-blank look.
There she is.
Syracuse trying to reset, not there, and momentum, Stony Brook.
I'm going to say this in the beginning of the game. If I have to eat my words, I'm okay with that. Charlie Campbell is going to be a problem in the Dome today.
Low-scoring affair so far, a little over halfway of this first quarter gone by. Kyla Zapolsky and Reyna Sabella playing catch a bit. Stony Brook content to just pass it around. Now they'll look to make their move.
And credit to the Stony Brook defense. We always know Syracuse as an offensive-heavy team, so the fact that there has been only 1 goal so far shows you what they've been doing in practice.
Trying to get crafty with it was Rafferty, lost it on the spin move. They retain, though, with Sarah Pulis. Senior midi plays it off down low. Still some time on the shot clock for the Seawolves to work with. Samantha haven't called Macera's name much so far today. Syracuse comes up with the turnover. Another defensive stop for the Cuse. They're looking to get out in transition. Cockrow, plenty of open field ahead. Dumped down low for Tyrell, and the tic-tac-toe attack wasn't there.
And that one pass getting in the way, but as they are transitioning down the field, I'm thinking, uh-oh, because that is the kind of offense that Syracuse likes to run. They want those quick transition passes, quick goals. If I'm Stony Brook, I know you have to be able to slow them down in transition, make them pass it a few times around the 8.
That's been Cuse's game plan for the past couple years, really, now, if you think about it.
It sure has.
With this core of players, Harris-Chuck, Swart, Carney, keep the foot on the gas pedal. This time it's Harris-Chuck into the slot, draws the whistle, and it appears as if she might get another free position here. We saw her bury the first. Will it be a similar approach here for try number 2?
Check out that windup.
Here it comes. Another save made by Campbell. How do you do, Charlie Campbell?
She's got her number now.
No good for Harris-Chuck. The Cuse can reset, though, with Emma Tyrell, the junior midi. One of 5 preseason Tewaaraton watch list players on this Syracuse team. Puts it in on net, and Campbell grabs it with the big spoon.
Shows you why, as a goalie, though, you always have to be ready for anything. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a pass that ended up being a goal because the goalie wasn't ready and in position.
Working the other way are the Seawolves. Only game number 1 on the year here for Stony Brook, but it doesn't look like it so far based on what we've seen from the production on the field.
And we know that they've had a scrimmage or 2, but also I think being able to go up against the kind of defense that they have, challenging each other every day in practice.
Well, it shouldn't come as much of a surprise for a Stony Brook team that went 16-3 last season and didn't lose a single conference game. Quick shot, quick score. Stony Brook takes the lead, Macera again.
And whereas Syracuse is a team that wants to rush in transition, the Seawolves, they are taking their time, they are relaxing, and guess what? It puts them up 2-1. Plenty more action to come.
Back inside the Carrier Dome, where it's Stony Brook, the number 4 Seawolves, with a 2-1 lead on Syracuse. Johnny Gadamowitz, Samantha Croston with you. And it's the Seawolves attack, and more specifically, Ellie Macera, that has been causing problems for the Syracuse defense. Samantha, you couple that with strong goalie play from Charlie Campbell, and not a lot to nitpick so far for Stony Brook.
No, there sure isn't. And I got the chance to speak with Charlie Campbell's old coach this week, Coach Myers, who said not only is she really smart, but she works super hard in everything she does. This is someone who is talented, who's an asset, and who takes everything personally. And I think that's a great characteristic to have in a goalie, in a leader.
Well, she had that career-high 18 saves here inside the Dome when she was a member of the Virginia Cavaliers last year. And it appears as if that mojo is carried over into opening day 2022 for Stony Brook. Mashesky and Verhulst off the draw control yet again. This time, it's advantage Mashesky as Syracuse looks to claw their way back into this thing, only down by 1. Carney, the Texas native, brings it all the way behind Cage. We saw Syracuse set up a little bit of that weave offense earlier in the game that we know Gary Gate really liked to use last year when he was at the helm for the 'Cuse.
But we've also been seeing some free-form play, and I think that's where Coach Trainer is starting to use some of her own strategies, her own offensive concepts.
Syracuse certainly has the players that are capable of going toe-to-toe with defenders.
What a catch.
Meg Tyrell feeds down low for Carney. Orange work it back up top for Emma Tyrell, Megan's younger sister.
And credit where credit is due to this Stony Brook defense. You can see the ways that they're moving, the ways that they're communicating, making it difficult, making Syracuse have to utilize that entire shot clock.
Carney concocting the play for the 'Cuse. With only 20 on the shot clock, they'll need to hurry here. Here's the pass into the slot. Ball on the ground. Syracuse keeps it.
10 seconds.
Tyrell trying to find her sister. Wasn't there. Couple of whacks at it. And Stony Brook takes over. That defense holds true yet again. Coach Joey Spallina telling us that our defense needs to operate like a closed fist rather than an open palm. And Samantha, that time around, they certainly looked like a closed fist.
I loved that analogy when I heard him say it, because there's a difference, right? He wants this to be tight defense, and so far, what a great job. Especially when, you know, he's allowing them to run down the shot clock. Nothing wrong with that, but when it gets to 10 seconds, 5 seconds left on the shot clock, that's where you see shots that are a little shaky. Exactly what you want if you're Charlie Campbell.
Well, the Syracuse defense trying to do their best Stony Brook defense impression here. A Syracuse defensive unit that held both opponents last weekend to under 10 goals. Stanford and Binghamton. And those were no cupcake games either. Stanford ranked number 13, then ranked number 13. Tough way to start the season for Syracuse. And Stony Brook modeling after that starts their season today against the number 3 team in the country. Tyrell makes a defender fall to the ground, and her sister capitalizes.
You knew you wouldn't be able to hold her off for too long. At some point, Meg Tyrell is bound to score.
She had 6 versus Stanford, 5 versus Binghamton last weekend, and she's back for more. The sister-to-sister connection.
Nothing better than seeing that. You know they both have lacrosse IQ, but since they're sisters, a little bit of additional chemistry, and Meg Tyrell, cool as a cucumber. Easy money.
Well, in speaking with Coach Kayla Trainer, I asked her, you know, Coach, fair to say Meg Tyrell has become the focal point of your game plan and your attack offensively? She said, well, look, Megan Tyrell's gotten out to a great start, but what's so nice about our team, we have so many players we can turn to that are capable of carrying the load. And while Tyrell certainly has done that so far, it's really anyone that can step up and take on the type of statistics that Tyrell has been putting up here through 2 games and change.
Well, and she mentioned the great thing about this group is how much they love sharing the ball. They're great players, but more importantly, they're great teammates.
All knotted up here at 2 apiece. We'll see if someone can gain the upper hand with just under 40 to go on the game clock. Before the end of the first quarter, new rule this year. Quarters, not halves. So we'll play 4 periods rather than the 2 extended halves like last year. And with under 30 to go, we'll see if Syracuse wants to push the break here or if they're content to milk it down. Swart turns on the Jets and works it up ahead. That's Savannah Schweitzer. Tyrell, a nice give and go and a nice score. Emma Tyrell gives Syracuse the lead with 2 seconds to go in quarter number 1.
20 seconds, 10 seconds, 2 seconds. Apparently, that is all. Plenty of time. And we see here the Tyrell connection yet again, but it's the reverse this time around. Love to see it. You know that Syracuse is the kind of team that in high pressure situations, they're gonna make the magic happen.
Well, Tyrell, after that last goal, Megan Tyrell, that is, who assisted on that goal, she drew so much attention that it allowed her younger sister, Emma, to slip right down the slot, essentially uncovered. All she had to do was find her, and you can bet they've done that one time and time again.
And when we talk about Meg Tyrell, why she's such a great player, it's not always about her goals. It's about the fact that she's able to look and say, hey, I've drawn in 3 defensive players. Who else can I see right now that's open? She's selfless.
The draw control, in all likelihood, just a formality here with only 2 seconds on the clock. First quarter comes to an end. Boy, this one's been as good as advertised so far. A defensive battle thus far, but it's Syracuse with the upper hand, 3-2, Orange on top of the Seawolves at the end of quarter number 1. The Seawolves trying to tack on a couple more, but it's Syracuse with the upper hand after quarter number 1. Well, back inside the dome where Syracuse has a 3-2 lead over Stony Brook after quarter number 1. And a lot of familiar faces on the sidelines for both squads. Caitlin DeFleece spending some time at Stony Brook, Sid Pareca spending some time at Syracuse, and Samantha, they essentially swap sidelines. Fair to say these two teams know each other pretty well?
Shows what a small world it is. And I asked Sydney earlier in the week, what's it like being back at the Dome? She says it's a mix of emotions, but that the Dome is a special place regardless of what side of the line you're on. I don't think there's anyone who would disagree with that. She says she's happy to be back in the place that made her fall in love with this career. Pretty special.
Pareca spent some time as an SU assistant from 2019 to 2021. DeFleece with Stony Brook for nearly 5 years, back from 2011 to 2016. But they changed jerseys, changed sidelines, and their two teams doing battle here so far through 15 minutes of play. On a real treat here, top 5 matchup. You don't always get a game like this so early on in the year, but with these two storied programs, shouldn't come as a surprise whatsoever. Syracuse wins the opening draw control for quarter number 2 and is back for more on the offensive end.
And I think especially for a team like Stony Brook, being able to go up against top 5 contenders is so important.
Harris Chuck bouncer. It's 4-2 Syracuse.
3rd game in, she's getting her mojo back. I told you it was coming. I'm starting to feel that. She's getting her feet underneath her. You take a look at this, it just shows Carney, the vision she has. Emily Harris-Chuck in the right place. 3 Stony Brook defenders there. No one even able to put a stick on it.
It's almost like pick your poison. If you're Stony Brook, you want to throw the attention at Carney? Okay, fine. Harris-Chuck will make you pay, and she's right open on the doorstep for goal number 2 on the day, and giving the Orange faithful here inside the Carrier Dome something to cheer about. You mentioned it, Sam. It was a little bit of a slow start to the year for Emily Harris-Chuck, but 2 goals through just over 1 quarter so far, and she looks like her 2019 self essentially all over again.
Truly no player who I'm happier for. And still, Coach Spallina said coming into this matchup, he knew it's not like you can scout 1 or 2 players. You need to be aware of how many offensive weapons are on the Syracuse team.
Syracuse will control with the luxury of a 2-goal lead. Opening stages of quarter number 2. And yet another installment between these two teams. We mentioned the familiar faces all over the place from the coaching sideline. Of course, the Tyrell sisters from Mount Sinai, New York, the same town that Stony Brook head coach Joe Spallina is from. And Sam, I'm told you are as well.
Lots of familiar faces for me too. in the Dome today, and it's nice to see on both sides. Hoping everybody has fun.
Syracuse looking for more. The Orange are certainly having fun. It's Savannah Schweitzer who goes top shelf, gives the Cuse a 3-goal lead.
And this is where things start to get dangerous. Still early in the game, only a 3-goal lead, but this is where we feel Syracuse starting to have all of the energy on their side. And you remember last year, all of a sudden things got very out of hand. Syracuse went on a run, and that's what Stony Brook is trying to avoid this time around.
Scratch that, it was Megan Tyrell yet again. Tacks another one into the score sheet just for good measure. And now it appears like this Orange attack starting to click in all departments. And they've won the possession battle so far. And that's been a big reason why, point blank, just more opportunities than Stony Brook has been able to muster through this first half. This time it's Stony Brook, though, who controls with Macera off the draw control. Been the same cast of characters really for both sides, not too many changes as far as subs are concerned. But when you have 2 top 5 teams in the country, why wouldn't you stick with your starters in a close game like this one? Sabella and Macera playing catch at the 12-meter arc. Now the shot on goal. Reyna Sabella with the laser trims the deficit right back to 2.
And that is a big goal for this Stony Brook team. I always say 3 goals or more, things can tend to get a little out of hand. They push that lead down to 2. Reyna Sabella, right place, right time, and a great cutter, a great dodger, a multifaceted player. Someone you'll be hearing more about throughout the course of this game.
Well, she was the America East co-defensive player of the year last year. She didn't look like a defender on that shot.
Coach Spallina says, look, she's one of our top players, straight up, one of our most consistent players. Not one thing that she can't do. Pretty good review.
A preseason 3rd-team All-American for good reason. Back to the draw control circle we go. It almost seems like these 2 teams so talented offensively that while, yes, maybe it has been a little bit of a more defensive-oriented game so far, anyone can score at will from any point on the field. And that was certainly the case with Sabella there.
If you are a goalie on either side, a defensive player on either side, you have to be ready for anything, for some of those outside shots, because these players, they can rip shots from outside the 8.
Whistle goes against Syracuse. It will stay with Stony Brook.
Shot clock resets.
In their own offensive zone again. Yes, they get a full 90 on the shot clock reset. Working it around the 12-meter fan. The Syracuse defense holding true thus far. Some nice ball movement here for the Seawolves. Shot was just wide. Stony Brook closest to it though, so they'll keep. Off the reset, right to Schweitzer. Nobody home for the Seawolves.
That's a pass you just wish you had back.
Bit of a miscommunication means the Orange can get out in transition if they so choose. And a whole lot of contact there as Katie Goodale hit the deck. Goodale, who had a big-time game in the opener against Stanford defensively for Syracuse.
And a little too much pressure now. We see our 2nd yellow card. Stony Brook, a team that has always had a good ride game, especially with a team like Syracuse, who has a great transition game. It's a matter of slowing them down, but a little less heat.
It'll be tough to slow the Orange down on the woman up opportunity here. Maddie Baxter plays it off for Schweitzer. Baxter, who had such a strong freshman campaign last year, really burst on the scene with Jenny Markey, who is out there now as well.
And I will say, being down 2, you do not want to give a woman up opportunity to Syracuse. Even if you were up 2, you don't want to give a woman up opportunity to Syracuse.
Ball on the ground. Harris-Chuck gets a stick on it, but she can't hold it in. And now a whistle goes against the Orange and Harris-Chuck. Stony Brook has it. That woman up defense standing tall.
And now if you're Stony Brook, it's a matter of taking some time off of this shot clock, getting the ball over to the offensive end, out of the hands of any Syracuse player, so you can run down this woman up opportunity.
Well, Stony Brook allowed less than 1 woman up goals per game last year. The defense was stingent when they were down a player. Able to stave off any other sort of advantage the other team might have, as now another whistle comes in, and we'll have a timeout. 5-3 Syracuse, the pace picking up a bit here in quarter number 2, but still a 2-goal lead for the Orange. It's a 5-3 Syracuse lead. 10.5 minutes to go here in quarter number 2 in an early season top 5 battle on a very special day here in the Salt City. You see there, Katie Rowan has her number 21 jersey retired, and she will be joining us at the halftime break. So be sure to stick around with us through the intermission, as Rowan, one of the all-time greats for Syracuse. On a special day, Gary Gate gets his jersey retired as well. Roy Simmons Jr., the legendary head coach on the men's side, inducted into the SU Athletics Ring of Honor, as you see his name there. A celebration of the history of Syracuse lacrosse, and a packed house here as the Orange faithful come out to support really just the legends of the game in all facets. Off the reset, it's Stony Brook who has it. Down by 2 goals, and Syracuse still on the woman up for another 30 seconds. So the Seawolves with Massera here, Samantha, definitely content to let this clock trickle down. Still waiting the official signal, as it appears that they were having some issues with getting that clock started on time.
Start when we
And there you see Katie Rowan's lacrosse team, the UAlbany Great Danes, which she is currently the head coach of, out in full force to support their coach today on a historic day. Might not necessarily be Syracuse fans, but that doesn't matter. It all goes out the window. A recognition of excellence is what it boils down to, and that certainly applies when talking about Katie Rowan.
And you don't see them now, but all of those players had their cute little signs ready for Coach Rowan.
If you're just joining us, it's a 2-goal Syracuse lead. Stony Brook has been hanging around.
You said 10 seconds off. Take 10 off of everything, right? Yeah, and right. It could be 25 to 15. Yeah. Okay.
Sorting out the clock before play officially resumes here mid-stages second quarter. There we go. Or maybe not.
Are we underway? I think we might be
Either
underway.
way, it's Ellen Massera who now will begin the trot, and it appears as if we are a go.
We're underway.
The Seawolves working around, woman up expires, so back to full strength for both squads, but that shot clock hits 0.
And everything about that play just sort of strange. You can see Coach Spallina just upset with the way that whole thing went down. He used a timeout. He was hoping to come up with a play there.
Syracuse working it in transition. This is Emma Tyrell, goes bottom shelf, but it was a bit wide left. Still 73 on the shot clock, and Syracuse with plenty of time. Whistle actually came in for a shooting space violation, so it appears as if from straight away here, Emma Tyrell is going to have a nice look on net. Darts in, goes bottom shelf, but Campbell was there to meet her.
And that's always a tough call. It was a great hash, and she's a great shooter, but there was a lot of time left on that shot clock, so it's a matter of, do you want to take that shot or set up a play? I think I would have set up a play in that situation.
Well, Syracuse with so many lethal attackers that it's hard to blame them when you get a look as high quality as that one for going right in on cage yourself. That's what Tyrell tried there, but it was not to be. As Stony Brook now within just a 2-goal deficit. Only 3 goals on the day for a Seawolves team that scored 16 goals per game last year. Of course, playing out of the America East, and that's a little bit different than playing ACC competition time and time again, as that shot rung off the post and now trickles its way out of bounds. But the America East, Sam, a conference that Stony Brook has essentially run over the past couple of years.
Well, and that is the truth. You bring up a good point. I think that some of these earlier season games, all the more important for a team like Stony Brook, who runs the America East Conference. They're moving to the CAA. I think they might run that conference as well. The ACC is the best conference in women's lacrosse, period. That's a fact. So Syracuse is going to have more of those better competition games.
Syracuse on the other end, a quick shot in, off the post again.
The pipe, your best friend or your worst enemy.
Charlie Campbell gets bailed out there big time, and it stays a 2-goal game. Seawolves in transition now, full head of steam. It's Macera up top who has it. She's been camped out in that same spot essentially all game. The duo of Sabella and Macera down on the doorstep. Whistle comes in, goes against the orange, and a couple of loud cheers from that Stony Brook sideline as they'll set up shop on the free position. Jaden Hampel will have the look on net. Sophomore midi opts to go backwards with it instead, with 50 on the shot clock still. Hampel finds a cutter, scoop shot, score!
And that's why you do it. Sometimes taking a second, pulling the ball out and setting out something else. It pays off this time around. Pulls the ball out quickly instead of taking the shot. Wide open look right in the middle. And it's Macera who is able to dip it right in.
And that's a hat trick for the sophomore. We told you off the top, number 12 is someone you're gonna have to keep your eye on throughout today's contest. 17 goals last year, only started 3 games last year, Sam. It's crazy to think that she was one of the first players off the bench and part of a Stony Brook team that collectively just had so much depth. Now she steps into the forefront and is expected to perhaps be the leading scorer on this Seawolves team.
And the truth is, she has big shoes to fill. You look at who this Stony Brook team lost from last year. Allie Kennedy, IWLCA Midfielder of the Year. I mean, this is someone who was the 3rd player in program history to score 200 career goals. Joined later in the season by teammate Taryn O'Miller, another big loss for this Stony Brook squad.
Yeah, Kennedy and O'Miller, the 2 leading scorers for the Seawolves last year. When you lose your 2 leading scorers and you still start the year as a top 10 team, just as a testament to how loaded this Seawolves squad is, and they find themselves down by only 1 here with under 7 to go in the 2nd quarter. Off the reset, though, Syracuse has it as it's Meg Carney behind cage. Playing it up ahead for Tyrell. Finds a cutter. Shot was just a bit off. The quick style of play. Jenny Markey tried to go top shelf. Wasn't there. No issue, though, as Syracuse keeps with Emma Tyrell. Down on the doorstep. Just behind the goalie. Did that trickle in? Does not look like it did. Campbell looked a bit defeated in that perhaps that one might have snuck up on her. but Campbell able to corral.
And you can see here on the replay, nope, the ball never went in. Campbell all on top of it, but now a free position opportunity results.
Savannah Schweitzer lost it. Stony Brook takes over possession. This is a Stony Brook team, according to their head coach, that isn't in a rebuild, just simply reloading. Coach Joe Spallina saying he doesn't like the term rebuild. They're just reloading. And I think that certainly applies here, down by one, late stages first half.
And I think there is a big difference between those two words. I feel like when people say rebuilding, there can be a negative context attached to that. It means there's a team that has a lot of work to be done. This team is just tweaking a couple of things, inserting a couple of new faces, and hanging with the Syracuse squad that has already played 2 full games.
Massera plays it off for Acetella. A hard shove comes. A little too much oomph behind that one from Katie Goodale. The tenacity from Goodale was certainly apparent through the first couple of games in the year, and she carries that into Syracuse's toughest test so far. Off the free position for Stony Brook. Not the most ideal angle. Let's see what they do here. Reset comes up top as Kira Acetella has it. Now the pass down low. Massera tried a little spinorama, but too much mustard on that one. And with 20 to go on the shot clock, Stony Brook will keep. There's the cutter. Tried to go behind the back. Wasn't meant to be. Ellie Massera doing her best Meg Carney impression from last weekend. Or at least trying to.
Trying to get tricky with it, and even though the shot didn't land, credit to Stony Brook for that ball movement. It's looking a lot like Syracuse's ball movement.
Sam Swart scoops up the loose ball for Syracuse. Here's Harris-Chuck, turns the Jets on, and now brings it back outside.
Something so unique about Harris-Chuck, she's strong and she's fast. You can see there she dodged past one defender. They need help on a player like Harris-Chuck.
Carney fakes left, goes right. Now up top for Schweitzer. Sam Swart draws the shooting space. Boy, she is so good at that. When the stick is off the shoulder and she brings it just a centimeter forward, gets the defender to bite.
She knows how to get it done.
The preseason All-American goes in on Cage, but is met by the goalie yet again.
And you can see Charlie Campbell hyped up, and that's the problem sometimes with taking some of these outside free position shots. Every time now that Charlie Campbell makes another save, I know this personal experience, you start to feel more and more confident. That is bad news for Syracuse.
Boy, where would Stony Brook be in this game right now without Charlie Campbell? Make it 8 saves to her credit in half number 1.
Is she on pace to hit that 18 saves again? Might be.
Let's see. If
we'll
you
see.
Carry your ones and cross over the mat there, I think she's getting pretty close. It's Stony Brook on the attacking end now, though, and Kyla Zapolsky, the U-Albany transfer. So much of her former teammates in the house tonight. Loose ball is scooped up by Syracuse as the Orange defense make a stand. They cough it right back up, though. Loose ball, couple of players hit the turf hard. Sam Swart, one of them. And Syracuse awarded possession.
Just a little bit of sloppy play on those ground balls. Missed it on the first round, and then a little bit too much pressure, too much heat.
Harris-Chuck down on the doorstep. Meg Carney buries it home.
The selflessness, the lacrosse IQ, it seems like every single Syracuse goal is beautiful in one way or another. The way they're able to pass the ball, move the ball. Emily Harris-Chuck had a look there, but she knew Meg Carney had a better one.
She practically drew a double, definitely a double, maybe even a triple team. Carney goes unnoticed on that right doorstep. And number 22 combined with number 51 to think about how far they've come over the past couple months. Each of them going down last season with a torn ACL. Harris-Chuck in game number 1. Carney much later on in the year. But But the way in which they've recovered, the timeline in which they've recovered, and just how effective they are out on the field shows the grit and determination that two of the leaders for Syracuse possess here rolling into 2022.
And it's not easy to recover from a season-ending injury. Not mentally, not physically. They've done both.
So make it a 2-goal lead for the Orange in the closing stages of quarter number 2. Sam, if you're Stony Brook here, what needs to change on the offensive end? Only 4 goals so far through almost a full half of play.
I think some adjustments you could talk about, a little bit of a faster style of play. So far, they've looked a little slow. I wouldn't go as far as to say sluggish, but I think maybe a little bit faster of a pace could be helpful, because this is a Syracuse defense that plays a zone. They're aggressive and they move quickly. You gotta move quickly with them. I think they might have just heard me.
Oh, they beat the zone that time. How about that? The Seawolves within 1. Syracuse punches, Stony Brook punches right back. Make it a 6-5 ball game.
The fans are happy, the players are happy. You make them move around more, and guess what? If not, you take it yourself.
It was Jaden Hempel, the sophomore from West Islip, who buried it home. She was 2-time America East Rookie of the Week last year and really impressed as a freshman. And this is someone that Coach Joe Spallina said she's gonna pop this year. And she nets one in the opener.
And you might have noticed in that last goal, Jaden Hempel is going up against 3 Syracuse defenders. She still decides to take it. Cindy Parecka saying this is a teammate who does the dirty work between the 30s. She is going to produce on both ends. We've seen both of them already so far. It's only the first half.
Machewski and Verhulst right back to do it again. Violation goes against the Orange, so it's Stony Brook who can set up shop, and with a goal here, tie this game up.
And I'll tell you what, you talk about momentum. If Stony Brook can end this first half with a tie game, you will see a bunch of very excited players, very excited coaches, and very excited fans.
No real sense of urgency here for the Seawolves. About a 40-second differential between shot and game clock, so they can't milk it all the way down.
And you see that sense of urgency, but everybody also does seem pretty composed. That's where you want to be right now.
Pulis plays it off for Zapolsky on that near side. Stony Brook generating a lot of their offense from behind cage, now in front, and a shot just a bit too high. Schweitzer was all over it. Stony Brook keeps. Another save made by Schweitzer. Ball on the ground, dribbling it around, and the netminder reels it in. Boy, she's been a brick wall on a couple of instances for Syracuse so far, and now with the shot clock off, Syracuse can take it all the way down to 0-0s if they so choose. Here's Sam Swart up ahead for Tyrell.
Big save by Schweitzer.
.35 to go on the game clock. Carney orchestrating the play. Plays off for Tyrell. Hollers out the orders and locates her sister Emma. Boy, Syracuse would love to go into halftime break here with a 2-goal lead. Can they tack on one more?
Well, we know 15 seconds for Syracuse. That might be plenty of time.
Here's Cockrell down on the doorstep. Carney, one more for Swart. Wasn't there. It was the right idea. As Sam Swart laboring a bit to get up. Still 7 seconds left on the clock as her teammates come check on her.
And you can see this defense coming in way too hot there. Very likely to result in a free position opportunity.
It was Lindsay Rongo, the defender, who threw a little bit of a shoulder on Swart. She's all good.
And 7 seconds left. She's going for it.
Well, she's got the angle, that's for sure. Can't be much more straight on than that. Here's Swart off the free position. Wasn't there. All too easy for Campbell. And that is how the first half comes to a close. A 1-goal lead for Syracuse. It's 6-5, the number 3 team of the country on top of the number 4 team of the country. These two teams trading punches, trading goals. Harris Chuck to Carney, boy, how do you stop that? Stony Brook's doing their best. We got a 1-goal game. Back inside the Carrier Dome where it's a 1-goal Syracuse lead, a top 5 battle, and a 6-5 score with the Orange on top of the Seawolves. And now we're joined by a very special guest. Katie Rowan, former Syracuse women's lacrosse player, had her jersey retired, number 21, up in the rafters earlier today. Katie, you were down on the field during the ceremony. Take me through, what's going through your mind in a moment like that?
Oh, there's so many emotions. I'm just so blown away by Syracuse University recognizing female student athletes, and to be recognized the same day as Coach Gary Gate and Coach Roy Simmons Jr., it just blows my mind. I'm so honored.
Coach Rowan, what does this mean to the future generation to be able to see a lacrosse player have their jersey retired on this field?
I think it's really special for lacrosse in general to have this recognition. And you know, lacrosse is one of the fastest growing sports around the country, but across the world. And this is just the beginning of a large sport, a spark in lacrosse.
You have your UAlbany Great Danes in attendance today, out in full force. What does it mean to have them here supporting you?
Oh, they surprised me today. They all took a bus here. There they are. They're such a special group, and I am just so thankful and grateful that they made the trip to support me, and I love working with this group.
Coach Rowan, who are a couple of names of people that made this journey of yours so rewarding?
Oh, there's so many people, but I am so grateful for Coach Lisa Miller, who recruited me here to Syracuse, and for Coach Gary Gate, who took over my junior year and just really took our team to the next level. In my junior year, we were able to make it to the Final Four for the first time in school history, and I give all the credit to my coaches and my teammates for making this moment possible. They're all amazing, strong women.
You look at the Syracuse sideline now, Katie, and Kayla Trainer, first-year head coach. I'm not sure if you got a chance to catch up with her today, but what would your advice be to her and someone that's, you know, year number 1 of coaching Syracuse?
Oh, gosh, she doesn't need my advice. She's amazing. She has proven herself at the highest level, coaching and playing, and she is doing an amazing job with this group. They're so lucky to play for her, and I know they enjoy every second learning from her.
Coach Rowan, my question for you, how has Syracuse, being a player here, shaped you as a coach?
Oh, you know, I learned from the best of the best, and I loved this experience. I have the best memories here, and I just want to try to make a small impact on my players the way that my coaches and teammates made an impact on me.
Well, there you have it. One of the best to ever step out on that turf, Katie Rowan. Can't thank you enough for joining us on such a special day. You're number 21, enshrined in the rafters forever, and we all couldn't be happier. We'll take a quick break. Syracuse on top of Stony Brook, 6-5, second half action. Come. Back inside the Carrier Dome, where we've got a good one through 2 quarters of play thus far. It's a 1-goal lead for head coach Kayla Trainer in her first year, and Syracuse has a lead, but a narrow one over Stony Brook at the halftime break. Back inside the Dome alongside Samantha Croston, I'm Johnny Adamowitz. Sam, Stony Brook kept it close in half number 1. What did they do right to make sure that the Orange weren't going to run away with it through quarters 1 and 2?
Well, they sure did, and right now the score 6-5, pretty low-scoring game across the board for lacrosse, especially at halftime. I think right now Stony Brook defensively, all the credit where it is due. They've done a great job, lots of offensive threats, and they've sort of cut off every single person, so credit to them.
A defensive battle so far, but you look at the stats, and it's the Tyrell sisters that have jumped off the board for Syracuse. Specifically, Megan picking up right where she left off. She had a big-time weekend last weekend. She's got 2 already today.
And I love seeing the versatility of these Tyrell sisters. First, one passes and one shoots. The next play, it's the reverse. Carney jumping in on the action. It is a party here today for Syracuse on the offensive end.
You look at the Stony Brook side of things, and she might only be a sophomore, but Ellie Macera is causing nightmares for that Syracuse defense.
It's the young gun showing out today, and Macera so far, she's got goals, she's got assists, she's doing everything, and her lacrosse IQ, it's been off the charts, and like you said, she is young.
Macera's got a hat trick for the Seawolves so far through half number 1, but Sam, you look up and down those numbers, which one are you keying in on the most and why?
The saves absolutely stand out to me. 9 saves for Stony Brook right now. Where would this game be without Charlie Campbell?
It would be a lot further in Syracuse's favor, I can tell you that much. Charlie Campbell, the Virginia transfer, has been a netminder to say the least. Look, Syracuse has had a lot of point-blank opportunities, but Campbell single-handedly keeping it in the game for Stony Brook. Samantha, if you're Campbell, is that sort of first half play sustainable into half number 2, or is it only a matter of time that if Syracuse keeps getting the high quality looks that they are getting, they're going to start to take advantage?
Oh no, it's absolutely sustainable, and you look at her, you see the way that she's such a good teammate. She's confident. I don't think mentally a lot of things get in her way. So I absolutely think it's sustainable. It's just a matter of how many shots on goal Syracuse is able to take. We saw that they had the edge in the first half with shots on goal. If they can do that again, it's going to start to get tougher and tougher.
8 saves for Campbell in half number 1. Again, she set a career high with 18 here in the Dome when she had a different jersey on, but hey, she's proven that she can play in an atmosphere like this before.
And look, 18 saves is a big number no matter what. But 18 saves against Syracuse is a very big number.
A Syracuse attack that is absolutely loaded no matter which way you look at it. And it looks like for Syracuse, we are going to have a goalie change, as it is Kimber Howard who will check into the game to pick up goalie duties for half number 2. This does not necessarily come as a surprise, Samantha. We've seen head coach Kayla Trainer kind of take this approach. Delaney Schweitzer half number 1, Kimber Howard half number 2. And I asked her, is that something that, will sort itself out in a perfect world sooner rather than later? She said, no, we're okay with riding both goalies, giving them opportunities. They're going to make the most of the minutes that they are given. Schweitzer certainly did in half number 1, and now Howard will have her chance in half number 2.
And you look at the numbers coming into this game. Howard, 7 saves, 5 goals against, 58% save percentage. She's been having a great season so far, and I think mentally she can handle popping in the second half and getting it done.
Syracuse will possess first with a 1-goal lead as quarter number 3 gets underway.
And you see on Stony Brook side, Campbell back in. It's interesting when we talk to these 2 coaches, Coach Trainer saying, we have no problem splitting the entire season if that's what we have to do. Whereas Coach Spallina said, look, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm going to commit to one and have confidence that if they're not hot, then I can throw in the other.
Here's Olivia Adamson, the freshman for Syracuse, who collected a couple of goals through the first 2 games last weekend. Sam Swart on that right alley. Now down low, Carney, she lasers it in. Meg Carney pushes the SU lead to 2. It's 7-5 Syracuse just a minute into this third quarter.
A big goal to start the second half, especially mentally, and you see that ball movement that we always talk about. 1 pass, 2 pass, and Carney right in front. But check out that fake. She gets a better angle. Much easier for her to score. You see the fake here, and now she finds a better angle. Not much Campbell can do about that one.
It almost looked like her eyes were going one way and the shot goes another. That's how dynamic of a scorer Meg Carney is. Number 2 for her on the day, number 7 for her on the season. And now she gets some words of encouragement from her coach, Kayla Trainer. Now, if you're Stony Brook here, Samantha, how do you make sure that this doesn't turn into a run for Syracuse?
This is the easiest way to make sure that things don't get out of hand. Win the draw. Win the draw. And Coach Spallina said it. That is one of our keys to success today. We have to be competing on this draw. Macheski is consistently good. How do we beat her?
Well, Charlotte Verrills not doing Stony Brook any favors there. It was a draw control violation against the Seawolves, awarded Syracuse possession. But Coach Spallina voicing his concern and perhaps disagreement with the verdict, and the referees now conferring. We'll see if it gets changed. Either way, it's a 2-goal Syracuse lead.
And another thing that Coach Spallina chatted about, he said, our players have to be able to handle the pressure that Syracuse puts on us, especially in their tight-knit zone. That's something, if I'm Stony Brook right now, I'm making sure that I'm handling that pressure, slowing things down if need be, but you don't want to be throwing away any offensive opportunities, especially in the second half when you're down 2.
Syracuse ball off the reset. Orange will have a chance to tack on another. Emma Tyrell, plenty of open space in front of her. Now to Adamson, the freshman. Meg Tyrell with 2 goals in that first half. Syracuse taking their time, setting up in the offensive zone, and here comes that weave. Low-to-low shot, wide right. Syracuse keeps under 50 on the shot clock. Tyrell tried to get a little crafty with it. And now it's Meg Carney methodically taking her time. Works it up top for Swart. Tic-tac-toe passing. Carney hauls it in with 30. Draws her defender. Stony Brook defense doing a nice job holding their spots. Tyrell's got some space, gets a bit of a shove. Adamson, the freshman, couldn't hold it. Ball on the ground, only 15 on the shot clock. Syracuse keeps, but they gotta hurry. Here's Carney behind Cage. Up front for Harris-Chuck, here she goes, draws the double, Swart, shots denied. Charlie Campbell, yet again, in the waning seconds of the shot clock, keeps this thing a 2-goal game.
And that's a big save. Nothing worse if you're a defender than holding off an offensive set for 85 seconds just to still have the ball go in. That gave Stony Brook the momentum they needed.
Well, the Stony Brook attack, one that is loaded, whichever way you look at it. And their 16 goals a game last year have only poured in 5 so far today. And it's a Syracuse defense, Sam, that drew some questions at the start of the season. You lose the likes of Ella Simpkins, Carrie DeFleece. Who's going to step up on this defensive line? But they've done their job today.
And still that defensive unit is led by Sarah Cooper. It's nice that they have one veteran.
Point blank range. We got a 1-goal game.
It comes after a great save, the momentum shifts, and you start to see Stony Brook get some of their mojo back. Point blank shot, and this is why it's tough when you switch out goalies. This is Kimber Howard's first shot she sees, not necessarily an easy one.
Kyla Zapolsky on the give and go. You can't draw it up much better than that. And Zapolsky, who scored 50 goals last year for UAlbany, she transfers in as a grad student in her 5th year with Stony Brook and picks up the scoring right where she left off. She started every game of her UAlbany career at the midfield, was first-team All-America East. Someone that played Stony Brook quite often and wreaked havoc against the Seawolves. Now she brings her talents over to Long Island, and Coach Joe Spallina absolutely loving it. She brings the Seawolves within 1.
And for this Seawolves team, it's going to be a matter of continuing to rack up those goals. More oftentimes than not, what it comes down to is, can you score more goals than Syracuse? A lot of the times, the answer to that question has been no for teams.
Well, Syracuse held Binghamton to only 6 on Sunday. They held Stanford to 9 last Friday. They've held Stony Brook to 6 so far, but the difference? They've only netted 7 themselves. You want to call this a defensive battle? Go right ahead. Stony Brook looking for more. Here's Sabella. Seawolves with momentum on their side. Behind cage, now here comes the inner pass. Hits the deck, Baxter has it. Orange can move ahead with numbers if they want.
And you see the heads shaking on the sidelines. A perfect, beautiful open look, and they can't connect.
Harris Chuck dumps it down low for Carney. Now to the slot, she finds Twine. Meg Tyrell, how do you do? A 2-goal Syracuse lead, 8-6 with 10 minutes to go in the third.
A tough, tough turning point for Stony Brook. You saw their game was potentially about to be tied, and now Syracuse with a 2-goal lead, making them pay for that turnover. Carney, Vision, and who else? Meg Tyrell has to shove it in your face when you make a mistake.
Third game of the season for Meg Tyrell, Sam. That's her third hat trick. It's clockwork at this point. 6 versus Stanford, 5 versus Binghamton, and even against a top 5 team in the country, she keeps it rolling on another planet right now.
I mean, it's scary. How many players do you know in any sphere? 3 goals a game, that's just a normal day for Meg Tyrell.
Back to the draw control circle we go. Syracuse and Stony Brook essentially taking turns here in quarter number 3. An 8-6 Syracuse lead. Some early movement on that draw control circle.
But it just shows the passion that both of these teams
they're
have.
antsy. They're antsy to get after it, and how can you blame them? Still waiting the official signal are Maszewski and Verhulst. Was there some early movement? It seems so.
And another rule change I'll point your attention to now. On the draw control, instead of doing a redraw, they do alternate possession. Just another way to try and speed up the game. Really nice rule change.
Stony Brook down by 2, well within striking distance, but trying to make sure it stays that way here in their 2022 season opener. A Stony Brook team that has never made a Final Four, but have appeared in 3 quarterfinals in the last 4 years. They've lost all of them, though, but only by a combined average of 1.6 goals per game. They lost to number 1 UNC last year in the quarters by only 3 goals. The 2 quarters before that, they lost by only 1 goal apiece. They've been on the doorstep for so long. Ellie Macera's on the doorstep there. 1-goal ball game, 8-7. Stony Brook strikes.
Ellie Macera, you heard it here first. The new it girl. No Allie Kennedy, no Taryn O'Miller, no problem. We're using the Young Guns to our advantage. Right on the doorstep, not even a great angle either, and still, she found a way to snipe it past Kimber Howard.
Well, a tough start for Kimber Howard as she checks in for half number 2. Been in the game for just shy of 6 minutes, has yet to record a save, and has allowed 2 goals. So Syracuse makes the goalie switch, and at least for the immediate future, it looks like maybe it comes back to haunt them. Still plenty of game left, though. And hey, Syracuse is still on top, so let's not get too nitpicky.
But you can still feel it. You can feel it when the momentum starts to change, and this feels like a pivotal moment, a pivotal next draw.
Macera lasering home 50% of her shots so far today.
4 goals. She's a sophomore.
1 out of every 2 times she shoots it on net, it goes in. I'll take those numbers.
I'll take those odds.
Off the draw control, Stony Brook again. This is Claire Levy, the defender. The top 5 defender in the nation, according to our head coach, who last year made Stony Brook leading scorer Allie Kennedy better in practice. He said, we didn't have anyone that could D up Allie. Claire Levy could. A game-changing defender. Stony Brook trying to create some separation. They tie the ball game.
And all of a sudden, the biggest momentum switch of the entire game. Cindy Pareca's loving it. The sideline is loving it. You can feel the change. 3 quick goals in a row here, and all pretty much right on the doorstep. Sabella marked up, no problem. She can take it anyway. The girl that does it all.
Tough to stop that. Reyna Sabella made the most of it. Second one of the day, and perhaps the most crucial one for the Seawolves so far this afternoon.
And I have to say, this is one of my reservations with switching out a goalie each half. It is not easy to come in as the second goalie. You're coming in for quarters 3 and quarters 4, all the more pressure and not as much of a warm-up. That's a tough situation.
Well, Kimber Howard saved shots at a 52% clip in her first 2 years of D1 lacrosse at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, where she backed up maybe the best goalie in the country in Taylor Moreno. So didn't see a ton of playing time, in that the player in front of her is one of the best netminders in the nation.
I might even say the best.
Whistle comes before the shot. Does it count? It does! Stony Brook takes the lead. 9-8 Seawolves. And they take their first lead since quarter number 1. Oh boy, Syracuse has its work cut out for them. 9-8. Well, it's a historic day for Syracuse lacrosse here inside the Carrier Dome, but it's Stony Brook with the upper hand about halfway through the third quarter, a 1-goal lead. And Samantha, they're having whatever they want on offense.
3 different goals, 3 different goal scorers, and Coach Spallina said it. A lot of people, they don't know what we have this year. With these girls, it is not about anything other than going to battle with their friends. It's the tightest group they've ever had, and it's the most athletic group that we've ever had, and that is on full display in the Dome.
4 goals for Stony Brook in quarter number 3, which isn't even halfway gone. 8:17 to go on the game clock. Kimber Howard yet to deny a Seawolf attacker from a goal here in half number 2. And for the first time since quarter number 1, it's the Seawolves who have the upper hand. This game looking pretty reminiscent of when these two teams squared off, not last year, but back in 2020, when it was Stony Brook who knocked off the Orange in what was an absolute thriller against Syracuse, a 17-16 final score. That one maybe saw a little bit more goals, a little more action on the offensive end, but this one just as exciting, just as close, and it appears as if we're set up for quite the finish here down the home stretch.
And it's interesting when you look back on the past few matchups, one or the other team went on a run, a 7-goal run, a 9-goal run. But this time, it's been back and forth the whole game. It's been exciting. And Johnny, this is the reason why we love lacrosse so much. It's because you can quickly shift into having the lead just like that. Couple of quick goals changes the entire pace of the game.
Emily Harris-Chuck, excuse me, and on the draw control circle for Syracuse. Yeah, when these two teams met last year, Sam, it was a 3-2 Syracuse game. Then just like that, it was 9-2. Stony Brook didn't touch the ball during that run because of how much Syracuse dominated at the draw control circle, like we saw Emily Harris-Chuck do just there.
And that game haunts Coach Joe Spallina. He went as far as to say, I think that might have been the worst game that I've ever played in my entire career.
Harris-Chuck now back into the offensive zone after winning that draw control for the Orange. Off the reset, it will be Olivia Adamson who has it. From behind cage, tries to find a cutter and does! It's Meg Carney. We're all knotted up at 9.
And Coach Trainer said this early on, I am willing to make adjustments no matter what they are. We saw Mashesky on the draw circle. They switch it up to Harris-Chuck. They win that draw. And then Carney, easy money on a free position shot. That's her bread and butter.
Carney kept it herself and went bottom shelf. Not much you can do there. Number 22, a couple of emphatic jumps as she slams her stick to the ground in excitement. You can tell they got the look in their eye. This is a game that both teams want, taking turns, and off the free position, it's Syracuse who pulls back within even.
And you could tell a goal they just desperately needed. And again, they'll go with Harris-Chuck on the draw control circle. I haven't seen anyone besides Mashesky the entire season, so this is an interesting switch up.
Harris-Chuck won the first. She can't win the second.
Or she might.
Loose ball, there we go. She must have heard me.
She said, yes, I can.
Harris-Chuck accelerates up that right alley and gives off for Meg Tyrell. We'll see if Syracuse can piece this into any sort of run. Here comes that weave offense. Adamson controls. Locates Cockrell to her left. Plays it right back. Carney in the 12-meter. She doesn't do much playing up there. Used to see her seeing her down low. Here's Harris-Chuck. The goalie meets her. Campbell says no to number 51, who is slow to get up. And now the Seawolves can work the other way.
And let me just tell you right now, that was a body save. That hurt me watching that save.
Well, we saw how strong of a half number 1 it was for Charlie Campbell. And she's continued that play in half number 2, up over 50% on the day. 11 saves to the 9 goals allowed for the Virginia transfer in her Stony Brook debut. And her Seawolf teammates trying to help her out here on the offensive end. Open space in the middle, pass hits the floor. Couple of sticks on it, Bianca Chevry controls for Syracuse.
And that was the second time so far we've seen an open look, a Stony Brook player right in the middle, not able to connect. Those are the kinds of passes that you want back. And a place where Syracuse shines. Very rarely that you see a Syracuse turnover or that you see a Syracuse player really drop a ball.
Carney with the slow trot. Here's Adamson. Yes, sir. Syracuse takes the lead. It's 10-9 Orange, mid-stages of the third quarter.
And there you see a change of momentum once again. Syracuse today, a lot of ball movement from X. Really utilizing that X spot, especially having Carney back. Finding Olivia Adamson, the freshman, and she's fired up. Can you blame her?
Sam, this game's starting to take on a feel of anything you can do, I can do better.
And it's going to go back and forth. You can see how fired up both of these teams are. Coach Spallina in a little bit of a different mindset right now. And we've seen how hard it is for the Seawolves to grab these goals, how hard it is for Syracuse to grab these goals. I would go as far as to say it has been a defensive battle.
Well, Syracuse was pretty tightly contested with Stanford last weekend. That game was actually tied at the half, but Syracuse pulled away in quarters number 3 and 4. This one's shaping up to be a pretty similar affair here between the Orange and the Seawolves.
And I think the biggest thing when you go up against a team like Syracuse, you just cannot let them go on a run. Once they score 3 and 4 goals in a row, that is when I always see everything else start to crumble. As long as you're hanging with them, anything is possible.
This is Reyna Sabella with it straight away. Hounding defense from Bianca Chevry, but now she's beat. Working it up in front of Cage. Sarah with the ball in her stick. You got to keep an eye on her. Pass was deflected by Sarah Cooper. Great awareness there from the preseason Tewaaraton Watchwist defender, who plays it right to her goalie. So Sam, you were on hand for that Stanford game where it was close down the stretch. What did Syracuse do in half number 2 to really separate itself? And how do they replicate that here today?
Well, with Syracuse, I think it always comes down to their offensive play. This is a team that is offensively so heavily dominated. And as long as they're able to go on a run, they're doing well in transition, taking their time, continuing to utilize this free-form offense, they'll be all right.
Straight away at the 8-meter, Adamson. She staved off. Harris-Chuck with a wind-up, thought better of it. There's Tyrell already with a hat trick to her name and looking for more. Draws the double. Plays it off for Maddie Baxter, fresh into the game. Tyrell now accelerates down the right alley. Little dump-off pass from Megan. Bounces it in. Number 4 for Megan Tyrell and a 2-goal Syracuse lead.
If I am Stony Brook right now, I am thinking about how are we going to stop not only Meg Tyrell, but the Tyrell sisters. We need to have an all-hands-on-deck situation, and I know that Charlie Campbell wants that one back. Meg Tyrell always putting it in the right place, but it didn't have a ton of heat on it. Just a little bit of finesse, the right amount of bounce, and that's it. It's in.
For me at least, what looks so impressive there, Samantha, and correct me if I'm wrong here, looked like all her momentum was going away from the goal, yet she still is able to muscle the shot off so seamlessly and with just as much force. Not much Campbell can do about that one. Two-goal Syracuse lead as we move along here in quarter number 3 inside the Carrier Dome. With Samantha Croston, I'm Johnny Gadamowitz. Thanks so much for joining us here on this Sunday afternoon. As back to the draw control circle we go with Mashesky and Verhulst. In a close game like this, those draw controls so important, and that time it's Verhulst who swoops it out of thin air.
And credit to Stony Brook, they've been hanging on these draw controls. They've been winning the draw control battle 13-9, but they just aren't getting off those looks. A couple of times they've had opportunities right on the doorstep, have not been able to convert.
Bianca Chevry with a bit of a shoulder shrug there, saying, what did I do wrong? Stony Brook off the reset, and it's Verhulst who has it. The draw control specialist locates Massera in the left alley. Hallie Simpkins playing close defense in for the Cuse. Massera looking to make her move on Simpkins. Takes her all the way back behind Cage. And the Seawolves will switch fields. Ball on the ground, whistle comes in. Katie Goodale in on the play. Here's Kaylin Hart. Haven't called her name a bunch today for Stony Brook. Gives off Sabella atop the 12-meter fan. Syracuse in the zone. They locate the middle of the zone, and it's off the pipe. Now Swart in transition. Plays it up ahead, Emma Tyrell. Orange moving quickly here. Tyrell leaping downfield. There's the spin move. Shot was wide, though. Boy, Emma Tyrell looking to go coast to coast with it there, essentially.
A lucky break.
Waning stages of quarter number 3. Orange looking for more with a 2-goal lead.
But you can see the patience here. They're settled in. They're going to start utilizing a lot of this shot clock on every possession, because why not?
Harris-Chuck on the doorstep. She takes a hit. Takes a player down with her. It's Haley Dillon in on the collision with Harris-Chuck.
And take a look at this collision. Harris-Chuck trying to charge her way in, but it will go in Stony Brook's favor this time around. And you can feel that momentum on the sidelines. Everybody on Stony Brook's side happy with that call.
And you saw the look on Harris-Chuck's face. She was stunned. But so much of number 51's game, Sam, really is predicated on almost that plow-style offense, if you will. One-on-one chance here for the Qs. Tyrell fakes right, goes left. Campbell collects it.
What a great defensive stop. You see Tyrell, only one defender. You get a little nervous. Oh, no.
Stony Brook gives it right back. Tyrell yet again. This time, she thinks better of going one-on-one and waits for her reinforcements and her sister Emma.
A smart move. 50 seconds left on the clock. Might as well set up something worthwhile.
Syracuse with a 2-goal lead. Orange trying to get out to a 3-0 start to their 2022 campaign. Stony Brook trying to pull off the upset here in their season opener. Adamson on the right alley. Tyrell takes a defender with her. Right back for Adamson, you bet! 12-9, Syracuse, 23 seconds to go in the third. The Orange in cruise control here in quarter number 3.
And it's the composure, more than anything else, that stands out to me. Seems like on every single play, a Tyrell is involved somehow. You mix in a little bit of Olivia Adamson, a freshman, why not? It's the perfect storm.
Well, Adamson just slipped through that back line. It was a good 5 yards where no one was near her in all directions. Went unnoticed, and Harris-Chuck, who demanded the attention, the grad student locates the freshman, and the impressive freshman campaign continues for number 1, Olivia Adamson. A 3-time U.S. Lacrosse All-American in high school. And her talents translating well over to the Division I game and coming at a crucial time here in this one.
And it's just crazy to think that just a short time ago, this was a 9-8 game.
Under 20 to go on the game clock here in the third. We'll see how Syracuse wants to handle this. Played up ahead for Meg Carney. 10 to go, ball on the ground, recovered for Tyrell. Right back for Carney, now into the slot. Tried to locate Swart, wasn't there. Stony Brook scoops up the loose ball, and that is how quarter number 3 comes to an end. A 3-goal lead for the Orange. Back and forth battle, but it's Syracuse with the last laugh at the end of the third. And while Syracuse only put up 6 goals in half number 1, they match that total in quarter number 3, and they take a 12-9 lead into the final 15 minutes of action. And Sam, the Orange putting their foot down there to end that third quarter.
Stony Brook had the hot hand for a second, and just as quickly it's taken away. A little bit of Carney action, she scores a goal, and then she assists on one. Tyrell, of course, you gotta have it. Slam down there, and Adamson, 2 goals in this third quarter. She's only a freshman, but she is an immediate impact player. We're getting different scores and a lot of versatility in this third quarter, and maybe even leading into the fourth.
All right, so your coach, Joe Spallina, you're down 3 with 15 to go in the game. What are you telling your players out there? How do they claw their way back into this one?
I think the most important thing, and it might sound cliche, but just not to give up. Because again, in this third quarter, I don't think that we're seeing Stony Brook's best lacrosse. I think that we saw flashes of their best lacrosse throughout the course of this game. But I need a little bit more consistency from them, and that's what I would be saying to my team. Charlotte Campbell doing everything that she possibly can, the defense holding up, but I still think offensively, just a couple of those passes you wish you had back. We got to connect on that offensive end if we're going to win this game.
Again, important to note, this game number 1 on the year for Stony Brook. Number 4 in the country before they've even taken the field. And even though it's game number 1, And even though they're playing the #3 team in the country, they're within striking distance here. But it's Syracuse, the home team, with momentum on its side as we enter the final frame. Back to the draw control circle we go.
And the fact that it is Stony Brook's first game, you really can't understate that. Syracuse already 2 full games under their belt. The first game is supposed to be the time where you get out a couple of those silly mistakes. Hard to make silly mistakes against a team like Syracuse and win.
Well, we spoke with Coach Joe Spallina earlier in the week. He told us after the 16-6 loss to Syracuse last year, they were kind of hoping that they were going to see the Orange again in the NCAA tournament. Wasn't meant to be, but they get their chance here as the Orange are working it around. Cage whistle comes in as it was Meg Carney who fell to the ground after some contact, and Syracuse will reset. Right back to the free position we go with Meg Carney. Already 3 goals on the day. Pass goes high. Not sure if that was a shot or a pass. Looked like it could have been a shot, but it sailed about just a centimeter or so above that top pipe. Right into the lap of an Orange teammate, but it's Stony Brook ball. So the free position comes up as a rare unsuccessful one for Syracuse.
And this is where, if you're Stony Brook, you have to start shining on the offensive end. You can see there some of those little bit sloppier passes. Right now, they're still looking a little bit scared, a little bit shy, having a difficult time getting it over into their own offensive end. You'll notice 55 seconds left to play with.
With 13 minutes left to go here, Sam, if you're Stony Brook, can you afford an empty possession here? When does it come time to press the panic button where you got to start putting the ball in the net?
What I can tell you is we're not there yet. We're not in panic mode yet. Plenty of time. Lacrosse is a fast-paced game. It's a matter more of taking advantage of the opportunities that you do get.
Well, a prime opportunity here, down on the doorstep. Oh, a pretty goal. Cuts it back to 2. It's 12-10 Syracuse as the Seawolves hit double digits.
We said take advantage of an opportunity. Stony Brook said we can do that. You see some of the ball movement, a little bit of a low pass, but still able to recover from it. And a quick goal. Right in front of the net, great angle, and doing it with some pressure. That's Rafferty.
Siobhan Rafferty, the second-team All-America East player from last year, had 4 goals in the game against Syracuse last year. But the Orange have done a pretty good job holding her in check today until now, as Rafferty nets her first of the 2022 campaign after scoring 33 times last year. Grad student out of Long Beach, New York, one of so many Long Island players on this Stony Brook team. It's how Coach Spallina likes to recruit. The Mount Sinai native says he runs into Mr. Tyrell, also a Mount Sinai native, at the gym some mornings. Everyone knows everyone when it comes to these 2 teams.
Recruiting Long Island girls always has been a staple for Coach Spallina. He's always considered their team in general sort of that blue-collar team. He said it himself, he likes being the villain, the underdog. That's the kind of mindset that you get into when you are on Stony Brook's women's lacrosse team.
Adamson tried to draw the shooting space violation, wasn't there, and has to retreat. Plays it off for the left in number 43, Sierra Cockrell.
Defensively today, Stony Brook has put up a great fight, but if they are going to win this game, you need more from them, and you need it now.
12:20 to go on the game clock. Here's Harris-Chuck, couple of spins at the stick. Now darting inward, plays it back for Cockrell. Top of the 12-meter fan, Tyrell. Down low, Adamson. 30 on the shot clock for Syracuse. Stony Brook defense staying on their toes. Cockrell draws the double team, is forced backwards and has to dump it down low. Now behind Cage, it's Harris-Chuck, took a shot. And she's slow to get up. sometimes the only way to keep pace with number 51 is to play physical, but a little too much that time around.
And still such a defeating yellow card, especially after holding that Syracuse offense, doing such a great job. And now you'll see shot clock resets.
And that's huge at this point in the game when you're Syracuse and you maybe start to get into the conversation of trying to milk the clock. They'll have a fresh 90 to work with and a 2-goal lead. Should be fun down the. Well, it's Lacrosse Legends Day here in the Carrier Dome. Former SU women's head coach, current SU men's head coach, Gary Gate, has his number 22 raised in the rafters. Of course, we spoke with Katie Rowan earlier, her number 21 right beside it. And of course, Roy Simmons Jr., the legendary head coach inducted into the SU Athletics Ring of Honor. 3 extremely noteworthy figures in the Syracuse lacrosse world, both on the men's side and on the women's side as well. As there you see Katie Rowan. So glad she was able to join us earlier. And again, her number 21 will live on in the dome forever, right beside the number 22 for Gary Gate. An all-around great day for the program, and the women's team in the waning stages here in a top 5 matchup has a 2-goal lead and a woman-up opportunity with a fresh 90 on the shot clock. Off the reset, Harris-Chuck doesn't even think about going towards cage with that one.
No reason. And again, woman-up opportunity, fresh 90. Really tough to come out of the break now and have to do that. But luckily that timeout, maybe it rejuvenates this Stony Brook defense a little bit, gives them a little bit of time to recover, just take a couple of breaths and reset.
Installment number 5 of the head-to-head department between these two teams. SU leads the all-time series 3-1. Trying to make it 4-1 here, still 50 on the shot clock, and no real sense of urgency for the Cuse just yet. Just flipping it around the horn.
I'm with you.
Meg Tyrell able to stick after it. We've seen the Tyrells, Meg Carney in full force today. Coach Trainer priding the Meg-to-Meg connection, trying to dial it up again there. Carney to Tyrell, but it wasn't meant to be. And with 20 to go, it's Harris-Chuck who draws the double team. On the far side of that 12-meter, trots inward. Now Carney behind cage. Cockrell winds up. There's the shooting space violation.
And you sort of knew somehow, some way, Syracuse was going to get an offensive opportunity. And at this point, it comes down to Campbell to give Stony Brook another offensive shot.
Cockrell doesn't go straight on. Instead, passes it off. And Aaron Feed gives Stony Brook possession. So they were a women down, but the Seawolves defense staves off the Orange attack and keeps this thing at 2.
Not easy to stop a Syracuse offense when you are at full force, but harder to do when you are not even at full strength, and they still did it. Sabella all alone trying to get across the line. Excuse me, that's Levy.
The woman up for the Orange just about to expire, so Stony Brook will be back to full strength with 9:50 to go in the 4th and a 2-goal deficit. Syracuse in the zone defense per usual. Zapolsky, the Albany transfer, plays it off, now gets it right back. Couldn't handle the pass though. That's one I'm sure she wishes she wants back. Swart now in transition, up ahead for Cockrell, who couldn't reel it in initially, but now recovers. 5-on-4 for Syracuse. Dumped down low. Here's the shot. Just wide.
And an amazing save, but you see what I'm saying now? You can feel the pattern. If I'm Coach Spallina right now, I'm thinking, what a great job my defense is doing. So many stops, but now 3 opportunities right in front of the net. Not a defender in sight. You got to be able to pull 1 or 2 of those out, and this game would be tied right now.
Kaylin Hart and Jessie Arline playing catch a bit on that near side alley. You can tell in the way that Stony Brook is playing offensively, not necessarily frantic, but a bit more frenetic. They're watching that clock. Pass for Sabella wasn't there. Syracuse takes over and plays it back for Kimber Howard. Long heave up ahead. SU in transition. Here's Jenny Markey. Markey up for Tyrell. Tyrell to Baxter. Into the slot. Brings it to the far side instead. Whistle against Stony Brook.
And keep in mind, with every Stony Brook turnover, that's another time that these Stony Brook defenders, these Stony Brook midfielders, have to run all the way back down the field and play another defensive set.
SU trying to wear out this Seawolves defense. 8 minutes away from hopping out to a 3-0 start, the number 3 team in the country, before they hit the road to take on Notre Dame.
And the truth of the rest of this game, the fact is that even if they have great defensive set after great defensive set, if Stony Brook cannot get at least 2 goals on the board, they can't win this game.
Harris-Chuck tried the little spin move in the finish. Baxter on the recovery now. For Stony Brook, how much longer can you hold them off in this possession? 25 to go. Carney with the stick off the right shoulder, moving backwards. Tyrell a nice dodge, splits the double. Lost it as she approached net. Turnover for Syracuse, Claire Levy, the All-American defender.
Check out the Jets on her.
Zapolsky. Becerra, now Arline, in towards the middle. Shot wasn't there. And on the rebound, Syracuse collects. Allie Simpkins playing it up ahead. Baxter in transition. These teams getting after it on the break right now.
Certainly not a lack of cardio.
They're getting their steps in. Baxter down low, back up top. Harris-Chuck, oh, just wide. Ella Whitehouse, the player down for Stony Brook. As you see, Harris-Chuck who collected it.
And now we see another yellow card. Comes off of the shot, and it hits her in the head. Lucky. Seeing her back up and walking off the field. Ella Whitehouse. That was a point-blank shot.
A scary sight there for Ella Whitehouse, but appears to be all good. She'll trot to the sideline with the Stony Brook athletic trainer. .640 to go and a 2-goal Syracuse lead. Reyna Sabella trots back on for Stony Brook, as Whitehouse is tended to. It will be Stony Brook ball off of the reset, and they'll have a woman up opportunity. So a prime chance here for the Seawolves to cut the deficit in half.
And truly it comes at no better time. So far, Stony Brook, great defensive sets, so many positive things to point out, but really having trouble connecting on this offensive end. And Coach Spallina decides to take a timeout.
Wants to talk it over with his team, down by 2 with 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. A Syracuse team that has tried their best to distance themselves here in half number 2, but Stony Brook hanging around. A Syracuse team that comes into the year at number 3. Sam, a Stony Brook team that started the year at number 6, but pending last weekend's results, they get bumped up to number 4. Whichever way you look at it, it's no secret, Sam, that these two teams want to be fighting towards Memorial Day weekend, but it's a Stony Brook squad that is going to have a little bit of a tougher path to get there. The America East has essentially run through Stony Brook for the past decade, but you mentioned it earlier, Sam, they announced they're making the move over to the CAA, and as a result, they are not permitted to compete in the America East Conference tournament this year. So if they do want to earn a nod to the big dance come a couple of months, they'll need to grab an at-large bid. And when you play a slate as tough as Stony Brook does, even though they're number 4 in the country, that's still no guarantee.
And it was tough. Everybody was upset about that decision. Players, coaches, even the athletic director saying that that decision does nothing to advance the interests of the conference, but instead punishes Stony Brook's talented student athletes. So definitely some disappointment from that Stony Brook squad, who was chasing their 9th conference championship.
Well, it might be opening day here for Stony Brook, but you want to talk resume builder in terms of securing that at-large bid? And maybe no better chance for the Seawolves than right here, right now, against the number 3 team in the country. They've put themselves in a position to perhaps make this thing interesting down the final stretch here, and off the reset, Stony Brook has it, and 90 seconds on the woman up opportunity. Zapolsky for our line. Syracuse down a player in the defensive zone. Here's Macera, keep your eye on her, number 12 straight away. Zapolsky, give and go, now down the right alley, whistle comes. She got the shot off, but the whistle well before it.
You see some people throwing up their hands, that was a goal. But the refs say no. Still a free position opportunity, not a great hash, and still some time.
Kimber Howard only 1 save in the game so far. Zapolsky doesn't want to go on net with that one. Instead, it's Macera straight away, top of the 12-meter. Back for Zapolsky. There's that give and go. A Stony Brook goal. Kyla Zapolsky makes it a 1-goal game with 5.5 to go in the 4th.
And there it is, maybe one of the most important goals of the entire game. 2, maybe 3 times we've seen these feeds inside from Stony Brook players, but they haven't been able to connect. No longer. They finally found that answer they've been looking for, and it comes in the form of Kyla Zapolsky.
Well, a beautiful feed from Erin McQuarrie to set it up, and Zapolsky, her first game in a Stony Brook jersey. I'd say she likes the new threads. Kimber Howard's tough second half continues. Only 1 save as opposed to 6 goals allowed. It was Howard who actually came into today with the much better save percentage compared to her counterpart, Delaney Schweitzer, who played the first half. Howard entered today at a 58% clip, Schweitzer only 18. But after today's contest, I'd imagine those numbers will draw a bit more even. Off the draw control, it's going to go to Syracuse.
And you mentioned those save percentages. It does make you wonder. My true belief, I would have to say, I fall on the side of Coach Spallina. I think that picking 1 goalie is better than splitting between the 2 of them. I do believe that if you have 1 goalie who is the starter, it gives them more confidence. It fuels them more. You wonder if both of their save percentages would be higher if they had picked 1 starter from the jump.
Well, it will be interesting to see if that mindset changes at all moving forward. But as for right now, Syracuse trying to escape the dome with under 5 minutes to go in a narrow contest here against a fellow top 5 team in Stony Brook. Emily Harris-Chuck controls for the Cuse. Tyrell, pass now into the slot. Was trying to locate her sister Megan, who gingerly hit the ground a little awkwardly, but is back up and okay.
And honestly, I was wondering if potentially that might even end up in a yellow card. It doesn't that time around. So Stony Brook, potentially even a streak of luck, but still a free position opportunity up and coming, but it's on Campbell.
4 goals on the day for Meg Tyrell already. That shot off the post was looking for number 5. Wasn't there though. Would have given Syracuse a 2-goal lead. The Orange at the point in the game now, they're looking for some late game insurance. Stony Brook trying to do everything in its power to even it up. In transition, Levy. Sporting that right knee brace, plays it up ahead for Caitlin Hart. Hart, the junior attacker who had 2 goals against Syracuse back in 2020, including her first career goal in which she went behind the back. Added a little flavor onto that one.
That is so cool. There is nothing cooler than that.
She's been held in check today, hasn't scored. But she's out there now with her Seawolf teammates. 40 on the shot clock, 3:45 on the game clock, and a 1-goal deficit. Becerra keeping it herself, dodges right, low shot, takes the defender down with her. It was Katie Goodale. Both Becerra and Goodale looking up to the official, trying to plead their case.
And Becerra able to take it past a bunch of Syracuse defenders, but shot it right into a Syracuse defender. So we'll see the refs having some conversation, deciding what's going to happen. Katie Goodale says, I know what should happen. That ball just hit me.
Boy, that's a tough 1-2 punch for Katie Goodale. First you get hit by the ball, then you get nailed by the player. We'll await the official ruling here.
Yellow card coming out.
Yellow card is the ruling in what could be a fruitful call at this point in the game.
And it is tough sometimes as the clock winds down, but the truth is, I think that ball should have been taken out. Not a great place for a shot, definitely a better opportunity, likely would have presented itself. And a bad time for a foul.
So Syracuse will take over possession with a 1-goal lead. And just over 3.5 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. You think back to 2020 when these two teams were exchanging punches all afternoon long. It was Stony Brook who took that one 17-16. Then they come back here last year. Syracuse hands it to them, 16-6.
Yes. Non-releasable, 2-minute non-releasable. We had 2 fouls, 1 foul on the offense, 1 foul on the defense, but we have a card. So we're coming out.
So a non-releasable against Stony Brook. 2 fouls, but it's Syracuse who is a woman up.
And non-releasable nonetheless, that hurts.
Meaning even if Syracuse scores here, she has to stay on the sideline. Does not reset with a goal. Syracuse has it in the offensive zone. A 1-goal lead, the Orange looking for some insurance. No hurry whatsoever here for the Cuse, just under 60 to go on the shot clock. SU scored 23 against Binghamton last weekend. They beat Stanford with only 12 2 days before that. They've put up that identical spot so far in 12 goals here in game number 3. Holding Stony Brook to just 11. 30 seconds on the shot clock, passing it around the 12-meter fan. Adamson finds Carney. Carney finds a cutter in Tyrell, and she lasers it in! Emma Tyrell pads on the insurance. It's 13-11 Syracuse. 2.5 to go in the 4th.
But they pull it back. I think we may be in the middle of the refs saying no. Let's see.
Just past the left cleat of Charlie Campbell, but was it all for nothing? The goal is off the board for a bad stick.
Unbelievable timing.
Tyrell can't believe it. Trainer can't believe it. But that's the call nonetheless.
Not to mention, Stony Brook now awarded the ball.
And in transition, the Stony Brook bench getting hype. That's a yellow card.
And just like that, bad goes to worse.
Claire Levy hit the ground.
Hopefully she's okay, but you can see the frustration. It leads to some unnecessary roughness, and the ref not having it.
It was Sierra Cockrell who checked Levy with the stick a bit too much. And now we're back to even strength. 48 seconds remaining on the Stony Brook penalty. A full 2 minutes on the Syracuse penalty.
And just like that, oh, how the tides have turned. Can't forget Syracuse still winning this game right now.
Timeout is called. Coach Joe Spallina wants to talk it over. Well, they did it 2 years ago. They couldn't get it done last year, but in 2022 in their season opener, they're down by a goal with 2:16. Samantha, take me inside that huddle right now.
Well, first, I think we have to go back to this illegal stick and just figure out exactly what happened here. The refs checking on that stick, finding out it was no good. And look, you can even see the coaches playing around with it, making sure that that is not going to happen again. But nonetheless, not only is the goal called back, but Stony Brook gets possession, so it's not even a draw control. They just have the possession outright. So really insane timing on that. But you talk about the huddle, what's going on? One thing that I love about Coach Spallina, cool as a cucumber. You can tell he's calm, he's collected right now, and I think he's telling those girls he's drawing up some kind of a play. And again, some of the things that they've done offensively so far in this game have not worked out. So I think that he needs to make sure that everyone is on the same page. A couple of times they didn't connect, seemed like people were off base as far as the communication. So it's about making sure that you have the play set up, everybody knows what's going on, and you take your time. Only down by a goal, plenty of time left. That's one thing I always say, over 2 minutes in a lacrosse game, that can feel like a lifetime.
A 1-goal Syracuse lead in the closing stages, and a Stony Brook timeout. The Syracuse defensive unit back on the field. Stony Brook makes their way out from their huddle. And we are set up here for what has been a thrilling day inside the Dome. Really from this morning on, the men's team in action earlier today, a couple of jersey retirements, Ring of Honor inductees. And we're set up for quite the finale here between two of the best teams in the country in a 1-goal game in the waning stages.
There are certain games that you just walk into knowing that they are going to be a thriller. That is consistently Syracuse against Stony Brook. Immediate, get your popcorn, sit down for a show.
35 seconds to go until Stony Brook will be on the woman up. Each team with a player on the sidelines right now due to a yellow card. Stony Brook has plenty of time on the shot clock. They can wait to get back to that woman up if they so choose. 15 to go on that woman up timer. Passing it around. It's Arline who has it.
And
now
who would have
Sabella
thought
straight away.
less than 2 minutes, and we're seeing a 6-on-6 field.
Unconventional, that clock expires, and not just any player comes back on, but it's number 12, Ellie Macera. Woman up for the Seawolves.
And you saw that they let that clock run down. It's for a reason. They wanted this 7-on-6 opportunity.
Arline behind cage, plays it off to her right, finds the cutter, no, loose pass. Now on the doorstep, ball hits the deck again. Syracuse is on it. It's Tessa Query who controls and comes up with the ball for the Orange.
A big, big takeaway, and you said before, when are we in panic mode? We're in panic mode now, and not necessarily, maybe even panic is too strong of a word, but we have to be in alert mode right now if you're Stony Brook.
Another whistle comes in as Syracuse tries to pump the transition game a bit. 42 to go on the game clock.
And we are seeing yet another yellow card. This time, it's Ellie Macera who takes the hit.
So Macera will head right back to the sidelines where she spent the few minutes before that.
And so far, the refs in this game have not been having it at all, have not been having any dangerous contact. The swings, they are saying no to it all, and this is a game that is being tightly called.
Well, with 40 seconds left, it's understandable why Macera would dial up the aggressiveness. But you have to remember what you can and can't do in that circumstance. And now Syracuse sets up in the offensive zone with 25 on the game clock and a 1-goal lead. The woman up clock expires, so now Syracuse is a woman up. The penalty clock expires, that is. 10 seconds to go. Orange passing it around. Stony Brook needs to make something happen fast. The ball is in the stick of Harris-Chuck, and the clock hits triple zeros. The Orange survive a thriller inside the dome. They take down the number 4 Seawolves 12-11. Stony Brook falls to 0-1. Syracuse improves to 3-0. 4 goals for Megan Tyrell, 3 for Megan Carney, 2 for Emily Harris-Chuck. Syracuse gets the last laugh in a game that was back and forth all day. A big thanks to our entire crew with Samantha Croston. I'm Johnny Gadamowitz, Syracuse 12, Stony Brook 11.